It's time for Market Explainer, your number one business news podcast. Hosted by Danny and the big man. And it starts right now.
Moviepass, which
Failed miserably.
crashed and burned
Yeah.
in the most epic of ways, is making a comeback.
Okay, so let's back up. You and I, the very first, and people that watch the show have known for a while, you and I, our very first articulation of a show, or really any kind of a show, was a movie review show, right?
Correct.
Like, you and I both enjoy movies, love movies,
Yes.
all that. So, when this first came out several years ago, I think 5 years ago, 2017, somewhere in that ballpark, right?
It was before that. It was still when we were doing movies.
Right. So, when it first came out, I thought, no way this ever makes money. Because the idea was $10, go see as many movies as you want at participating theaters. Right?
And the only one that I think we could have gone to was the AMC. Like none of the draft house, none of the Alamo draft
Right.
houses, it was only AMC that would take the movie pass.
So at the time, I thought there was no way in God's green earth this was going to work, and we were right.
Yeah.
Because it turned around and failed. Now, why did it fail? The originator of the company was bought out. The new people that bought it, which was Helios and Matheson, right?
Yeah.
Bought it from Spikes.
Stacy Spikes.
Stacy Spikes. And they kicked him out. The originator of the, you know what I mean? They basically
the founder,
forced, the founder. They kicked him out. Now, he's the one that has now purchased the company back. Much like Jack in the Box back in the day, right? Or Wendy's back in the day. That sold it to somebody else, a foreign country, and then brought it back because they ran it into the ground or whatever.
Right,
now,
exactly.
Stacy Spikes is what I love about this announcement, which was I watched part of this announcement, and I say announcement because there was some ranting going on and some. This guy in the same breath said, it wasn't my fault. It was my fault, or partially my fault, but it wasn't my fault, and it was also my consumer's fault for being what he called power users, meaning the people that would pay him went to movies like every day and
Yeah, but here's a question. What did I pay you for?
Well, but that's what I find funny. He did the first thing like you would expect, right? Was partially my fault, right? But I'm going to bring it back. But then it really wasn't my fault. It was the company that bought us, and it was the power users that really... Again...
I'm sorry, in his logic, in his mind, did he create this for the casual moviegoer who just goes up to the ticket booth and buys a ticket?
Well, I think the original idea, which has actually spawned all of the major chains, Cinemark, right, AMC, even Alamo Draft House here in Austin and stuff like that, to create their own, movie passes. But the difference is every other movie pass, the original movie pass, like a lot of things that happen, great ideas that happen, is the initial idea is then perfected, or it's the second step that is... Go ahead.
So I would say it's the pioneer who got bloody, and the buccaneer, the guy who came in after the pioneer, who's like, well, I'm not going to do all of that stuff. And that's what I call dare to be last, right?
Well, it's the unlimited. It's the unlimited part that got them, right?
Correct,
where every other Cinemark and everybody else, what they did is you pay a monthly fee, you get a ticket, and then you get discounts on second and third tickets. Whatever, where they, instead of the unlimited at any, and that's what led to Moviepass going bankrupt, literally drove into the ground, was it was costing them more in tickets, right? Because they were a third party. They had to buy it from AMC. They had to buy it from Cinemark. And they didn't have the power. Now, here's the initial, and I keep going back because this is important. The initial stance was they said the $10 a month because it was originally going to be 12 and they backed it to 10 because they wanted to get users up. Because movie theaters would not give them discounts.
That $2.
Right. The movie theaters would not give them discounts until they got to 100,000 users, and they wanted to get
Okay.
there quickly. The
Yeah.
problem then is then they got up to 3 million users, and movie theaters still didn't want to give them discounts because they couldn't guarantee anything. They couldn't
Right.
guarantee any, what go to AMC versus Cinemark versus there was
Yeah.
no exclusivity, so there was no guarantee. And then the idea was once we get above a certain number, we're going to change it based on market, right?
Okay.
Some podunk middle of nowhere where there's two movie theaters, maybe it's $10 a month. But in New York City, maybe it needs to be $75 a month.
Yeah, because I haven't been in New York in I don't know a decade, but the last time I was there, I paid double what it is to walk into a theater here. Right now,
Mm-hmm.
I paid 20 or $25 a decade ago to walk into a movie theater, and I didn't even want to go to a movie because I'm in New York City. Why would I want to go see a movie? But that's what everybody was doing.
So
So
their original idea made sense, but they never changed. They got pushback because if I signed up for $10 a month and then
yeah,
you turned around and told me 3 months later, 6 months later that it was going to jump to $50 a month or to whatever,
whatever. Yeah,
you're canceling the service,
right.
right?
It's over.
So their model didn't make sense from several different ways, and it had no other way to monetize, right? Now
Right.
you bring this forward. This guy, right, Stacy Spikes, has owned a company for a while
Right.
called Pre-Show, right? Now, Pre-Show, most people would be familiar with this if you play video games on your phone. Pre-show, like if you're playing Candy Crush or any other game where you use tokens or inside money for the game,
Okay. Yeah.
right? Like Fortnite, you have to buy V-Bucks, whatever,
Right.
right? Pre-show is an ad company where you watch an ad and you get tokens for that game. So they don't give you cash as the
Right.
consumer,
They
but you
give you
get free money inside the game,
well,
right?
the money inside of a game is as real as money outside of the game.
Well, to a
It's
person that enjoys the game, right?
it's as legitimate as the U.S.
Right.
dollar.
In certain circumstances, yes. So the combining that company now with Moviepass, where you can go, hey, here's an ad you can watch, and you'll get a token for a new
Right.
movie ticket. Now you've monetized it two different ways. You've got your monthly fees that you can get in from consumers,
Right.
and you've now got a way to advertise on your app to get
Right.
more free tickets.
And and you've developed a good token system. Like you've established a token system in a different ecosystem, and you're just applying that discipline to movies, which
Mhm.
is a it doesn't guarantee it's going to work, but you at least have a track record versus MoviePass 1.0, which one of the pictures of this announcement is the CEO talking with the Hindenburg behind him. So,
Well, look, this
you
this
know,
this is a guy that obviously doesn't have a great track record, even in this industry. They didn't disclose how much he paid to buy back the company.
I
The
bet you it was
company technically
$18.
the company technically failed, went bankrupt in
Yeah.
2020, right?
I bet you he paid 18 to $20 and a Mazda Miata. I don't think he paid real money for this. That's how he
But
gave
I
them V-bucks.
I don't know that this idea, which was again innovative and great idea at the time, can be revitalized, and here's why. Even though he has two different ways to make money now, right? Monthly access
Yeah.
and advertising dollars. Every company out there of any decent sized movie theater has their own product. And most people go to the same movie theaters over and over, right?
Right.
They just do. So
Yeah.
why on God's green earth would I go to Movie Pass to buy a product, a third party product
Right.
that I might have to, okay, yeah, you're giving me 3 tokens a month, but it takes 2 tokens to buy a ticket on a Friday night, right? Because
Right.
that's the other part of giving you credit or tokens rather than movie
Right.
tickets is I'm able to increase or decrease the amount of tokens that it takes for a Friday night versus a Monday afternoon, right?
Correct. So what they that part of the deal is actually really smart because they took your dollar and turned it into a poker chip, and then they're going to
Mm-hmm.
just change the value of the poker chips based on your area and all that. So it's smart because you're no longer getting a ticket, you're getting a token, and those tokens could be worth anything. And that
Right.
makes it easier for them to adjust and, rob you.
Well, and that would be the reason that it works if it works. Now they're going to roll them all over. Phone companies have been doing this back when you used to buy minutes, and they were, oh well, we're going to roll over your minutes, and then phone company, everybody's doing this
Yeah.
kind of thing, rolling it
Tell me you're
over.
not old, but tell me you're old.
Hey, I remember when the internet was charged by the minute or by the hour, so that's how old I am.
Why
Anyway,
would you say that on our show?
so, I mean, this company back in the day tried everything. They got
Yeah.
uplisted to the Nasdaq and went public when they had 3 million subscribers. They even they went through a round of funding, but they were losing at the height. They were losing $45 million a month.
Yeah. And this is and I've described this in a previous episode, my belief about Silicon Valley style companies that are just like user growth and revenue, and it's all Theranos. It's all
Mm-hmm.
fake. And here's what it is. It is people who see the value of the marketplace and want to bring products and services to people, but feel bad about making a profit because they're
Mm-hmm.
gross anti-capitalists because they got brainwashed at Stanford. And those people don't turn around and make profitable businesses for a long time because they feel like there's something wrong with it. And if you feel like there's something wrong with it, go work at a soup kitchen. Leave the capitalist activity to the capitalists who think profit is good and healthy and necessary in a free society, which we don't live in. But I digress. But what's interesting about this new version of it is that he's bothering to try. I've learned this as an entrepreneur, which is, hey, addict it, life goes on, got to find something else, you got to
Mm-hmm.
move on to this other thing. He sounds like Papa John founder John Shatner, who was ousted from his company and keeps talking about, like, right before the Panini started, said there will be hell to pay, and the video went viral, and we all watched it, and then we all know what happened, and there was indeed hell to pay. But man,
Well,
it just get over it, bro. Find something else to do.
look here. Here's the truth. He doesn't need it to be the success that it was for it to be successful. If he is end
It
up
was a
being
failure. That was a failure. It failed the first time.
well, no, what I mean by it doesn't need to get up to 3 million subscribers.
Okay.
If Moviepass, for example, right, like most small places, which is actually most of America, is rural, still rural, right?
Right.
You have one or two theater options tops, right? In
Right.
those, you're just gonna commit to go. I'm getting zero of that, right?
Right.
But if I spend my advertising dollars, if I'm Moviepass, right? Instead of
Right.
trying to get up to 3 million subscribers like that, I spend my marketing dollars in Los Angeles, in San
Right.
Diego, in Houston, in the top seven, you know what I mean, counties,
Cities. Yeah.
cities in the world,
Yeah.
yeah, or in the United States. I'm going to focus all of my marketing dollars on that. You could build a profitable company now that you have these two ways in just those cities where there are
So
several options.
here's the other thing. The Panini happened.
Right.
There's a group of people who will never return to the movie theater. They
Correct.
just won't be going back. I was not one of those people. I was like, when is the first time I can go sit in a poorly ventilated room with 100 other people? And I was, yeah.
I actually, when
So,
Cinemark was doing you could literally rent out an entire movie theater for $150.
right.
I was doing that for my wife and kids and I. We watched several movies
Yeah.
during where we were the only people because it was $150 to rent out the
And
entire movie theater.
and you didn't even bother to invite me. I could have
Well,
sat 4 rows away from you. I
but
could have I
so
could have
you're
entered at a different time.
especially when you add on to the fact that things like HBO Max has released HBO
Right.
and several movie theaters have or movie what do you call them the companies that make movies right
Production
production
companies.
companies have decided on what, a third of movies that come out of the movies also come out on a app of some sort
Yeah,
at the
right.
same time. So why would I again go back to a movie theater and sit
Correct.
around 150 other people?
Correct. Well, it's like 60 people now. But what you're saying is correct, but at the same time, there are many movies that are now saying blah 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 coming exclusively to theaters.
Because the theaters are threatening to back out of deals, right?
Right.
Like,
And so this is interesting as compared to when it originally launched. The theater industry is on its heels, it's on its back.
mm-hmm.
It's trying to figure out how to survive. So Stacy Spice can pull up and say, "Hey, remember that movie company that I started that went bankrupt 2 years ago? We can do it all over again."
I think there's more ways that this can fail than succeed. I mean,
Yeah, but and Stacy Spikes says he expects 30% of moviegoers to use Moviepass by 2030.
well,
So
okay, I can expect
he's
anything.
saying,
Okay,
yeah,
Elon
he's
Musk has
doing
been
well.
promising a Cybertruck for the last 4 years. Okay,
It's coming, bro.
it's
It's just they
always
needed to.
coming. It's always coming. It's
Yeah, just two
always the
weeks.
next year. It's
It's
always
just 2 weeks.
no. That's a completely different
What?
guy. That's a
Sorry.
completely different guy.
Huh?
But
No, it's
yeah,
just 2 weeks. In two
there's
weeks,
just
everything's okay.
this would not be something I would invest my dollars in. I will
Well, of
not be
course
signing
it's.
up for the Movie Pass. I'm not buying any stock. Oh, that's the other thing. On here, he said that under
Please
the
tell me they're
new
going SPAC. Please tell me they're going SPAC, and
no
I
no no
missed
no
it.
no that they
Okay.
said that there will be a lifetime amount that you can pay, and somehow based on that lifetime amount, you will also get ownership in the company. So they're trying to do this as a
Uh,
quote unquote co-op model.
yeah. What
Um,
he just described health insurance to me. The minute you just said, "Well, there's a maximum out of pocket," that's just you just described health insurance, and I like my doctor, but I don't think I want to keep my doctor forever. So
oh, yeah. So I don't know how in the world he expects to share ownership in some way with the company with lifetime purchases,
yeah,
but whatever.
this guy has Kami written all over him. So
I yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, stay away from it. It's a good thing to say, hey, this is something that happened before, whatever. It's a great story, and you actually should go and read it and watch this guy's kind of lunacy. I think it's
yeah.
funny. Some of these rich people have just gone absolutely nuts, and I find it
Well,
very awesome to watch on a stage.
okay. It's first of all the appropriate term is eccentric, and I plan on the entire purpose of the majority. The purpose of anything I do is so that in the future they can go, well, he's wealthy, so he's eccentric.
Is that
So
right? So
yeah.
you're going to go ahead and make excuses for anybody that is. Got it. All right. What do we have next, man?
Uh, before we just go to the next thing, Mister, keep your shorts on. I want to tell you about Big Man Gear. Big Man Gear is the big man's idea of a funny merch brand. I want you to go to bigmangear.com. You can check out his t-shirts
Mm-hmm.
at bigmangear.com. That'll take you to the Amazon Prime store.